Barbara Rourke and Jason St. are the founders of Bells and Whistles, the award-winning hospitality design firm behind Providence, Lilo, Jeune, Jolie, Campfire, Animae, Starlite, RYLA, Broken Spanish, Dora Ristorante, and many other incredible hospitality concepts throughout San Diego and Southern California. Recently named among Forbes' top 100 hospitality architects and designers in America, Barbara and Jason have spent more than 25 years together designing restaurants, bars, wellness spaces, retail concepts, hotels, and hospitality experiences, leaving their creative footprint across Southern California. In our conversation today, we discuss the relationship between design and human behavior, what it means to be creative on demand, designing at the Michelin-star level, empathetic design, and the psychology behind creating unforgettable hospitality spaces. Welcome to Wellness on the Rocks from Bells and Whistles, Barbara Rourke and Jason St.
There you
Boom.
go. Boom. All right.
Oh, we're good. Lord. Yeah, it's funny how sometimes you're in the field and things like this happen and
100%.
you gotta just pull an audible,
I can't imagine doing this on the road constantly.
Yeah. It's it does kind of work that pliability part of my brain where you got to adapt, and it's as a creative trying to figure this stuff out, it's something new comes up every episode and I just got to roll with it.
It's a pretty small setup though. It's cool.
I know, you know, people think that the podcasting space is this crazy thing where you have to, have all this equipment and stuff.
Right.
Just gonna move back here. I was sitting down with a guy actually at Vino Carta in Little Italy last week, and he was like, "I'm starting a podcast. Here's all this stuff that I'm trying to, all the equipment. He's thousands of dollars. You don't need it. It's kind of just simple."
Yeah.
I think I did an episode with Patrick who runs Vino Carta. He said he was friends with you.
Yeah. I know Patrick.
How did you guys? Were you guys back San Diego days coming up together? Or
No. I think I met him just in the industry at different openings and whatnot. So post Starlite, we kind of just became friends with everyone in town. Just learned a lot of people. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, and also just working on that project, it was kind of the breakthrough. But I know Monica and Brian, business partners of Patrick, also.
Yeah,
Vino
he's
Carta,
a really nice
also,
guy. They got a cool little shop there in Little Italy.
Yeah, very cool.
But cheers, guys. We made it.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for inviting me into your.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
To talk about creativity and all the cool stuff that you guys are bringing to our industry as designers and founders of Bells and Whistles. So appreciate you. It's definitely not easy putting yourself out there to a random guy who comes in and his equipment's not working. And
this is great. Yeah, it's very fun.
No worries.
Yeah. But so I know. I have a question. So I'm a bartender. I work in the spaces. I work in these restaurants. And a lot of my friends they work and bartend, manage, and help run some of the incredible spaces that you two have created here in Southern California and specifically San Diego. So I guess we could talk about so many things today. What originally drew you guys to pursue this career with creativity?
Great question. I'll just jump into it. So Barbara and I were both, we were doing a lot of things. We were not practicing interior design. So, both artists, sculptors, painters, mixed media, doing everything that we can, got our hands on jewelry, made everything, took some furniture classes at Mesa College, learned how to do contemporary wood furniture design with a guy named Dave Forbes, who kind of taught us everything about building and about making three-dimensional objects. How to build from, soup to nuts, and taking those classes kind of broke our doors open as far as what we imagined we could do. Our first project was doing a coffee shop, interior design in a coffee shop for Influx in Golden Hill. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into a full design career without even kind of planning it.
We started as custom furniture, and every client we got, we kind of added more services until it naturally expanded into full service interior design.
Nice.
Yeah. So we kind of fell into it, but I think it was always an expression of sculpture, design, aesthetics, flow, just kind of experience.
So you guys had this interest in designing and the aesthetic things, and you were able to sort of turn that into a full blown business. That's pretty cool.
It's very rare. We did not follow the traditional path of interior design or architecture or anything like that. Even though we practiced that, we had a completely different approach to it.
Huh.
Yeah, I think on the advice of Dave, our teacher at Mesa College, we were considering going to school for design, and he said, "I think you guys can just do it."
Start your own business.
We were young and dumb enough to listen to him, and we didn't really have anything to lose. So
That's cool. It's like you had sort of this like mentor almost who saw something in you and sort of like put that spark into you guys, that confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
cool.
that every single time a project came up or a client came up, I had other friends in the industry and I said, I don't know about this job. What do we do? And they said, just get it and we'll figure it out along the way, and call me for advice if you need me. So we just kind of, the very beginning of our career, we really just like kind of went for it and just figured it out along the way.
Yeah, I hear a lot of success stories and creativity started that way. How long did it take from you guys to go from like that point to like, oh wow, maybe we have the feel for this thing and like this thing might actually work and like we can maybe dedicate full time and start a career from this?
we
I was going to say after Starlite, I mean, Starlite was like the first full restaurant project with Tim Mays and Matt Hoyt, RIP. Yeah, they kind of gave us the full reign to design their restaurant. And after we did that project, which was the first complete immersive design and also like a groundbreaking design for San Diego, that was it. I think that gave us the taste of like, we got to do this all the time because it was just insane.
Yeah.
So
Starlight's a really cool place. I walked through there this past week, and
Yeah.
if these dates are correct, I think that was 2007.
that's correct. Yeah.
And then you guys a few years ago did a rebuild.
Correct.
And yeah, Starlight does have this like almost like futuristic Star Wars style crazy look to it. And it's really unique.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Yeah, Starlight's cool. I like the Northern Little Italy. I have some friends who bartend there.
Yeah, it's very fun. And that was a unique project because that was our first one, and obviously Matt Hoyt and Tim Mays. Tim was obviously running Casbah forever, huge industry guy.
Yeah.
And to give us the kind of like platform to be able to do that was insane. Talking to him years later, decades later, saying like how cheap he got it because we were probably getting paid $5 an hour to do it. But yeah, we hand built the whole thing. We fabricated all the wood. We did all the steel work. We literally built it from ground up ourselves in our studio. And we used to fabricate all the time. We don't fabricate anymore. It was, we were constantly covered in dust, and you can kind of imagine, but when we started getting the, full service interior design and planning, it's more CAD and 3D software. So we changed our behavior from welding to drafting. But
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you today about the materials and the relationships you build with the people who you buy those from. But Barbara, what made you guys like? What was the decision to do the rebuild out with Starlight a few years ago? How did that go?
So that was done. The new owner, Arslan, who most people know with Consortium Holdings, owns so many properties in San Diego and is really pushing San Diego into a really design-centric space since he's created so many well-designed and well-thought-through spaces. And when Matt passed away and Starlight went on the market, he knew that he had to buy it so that it didn't get ruined and closed by someone. Like, it was very influential in his decision to stay in San Diego, the original design, just seeing something like that and understanding like, okay, cool. Like, interesting projects can survive here and there's a market for it. And so when he bought it, he knew he had to bring us back in and work with him to re-envision it.
That's cool. Yeah, Arsalan Consortium Holdings it's like, I think they have north of 25 different restaurants and hotels and places in San Diego.
Pretty
and
insane.
It's some of the designs of that place. They do have this like almost maximalist style to all their concepts, which is it's interesting. It's unique. And so for being like an industry guy, who's bartended for most of my career, I was a teacher. I did a little sales. Mm-hmm. The industry has two ways to look at Consortium Holdings, and it's for some people. It's not. You can't argue that They are kind of one of the faces of San Diego hospitality, and they do an incredible job at bringing people in, and tourists love them. I work at a local pub, Style Public House, Irish bar. Couldn't be farther opposite
Right.
from the consortium restaurants. But hey, everyone has their style and taste. I think that I look at some of their maximalist style restaurants, and maybe Starlite too, that you guys have done. And then you take a place like Lilo, Michelin-star restaurant,
Sure.
Chef Eric Bost in Carlsbad, which has like a completely, totally different feel to it. And for someone like me personally, I love the style of that restaurant. I mean, that's one of the coolest places. Open kitchen. I mean, you literally are, you guys, I have a question about how you did that, but like the bar is literally around the cooks and chefs who make the food in front of you.
Yeah.
It almost has a little bit of a minimalistic look to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like how does that thought process go for you guys when building out restaurants?
Yeah, and that's actually interesting because there is a maximalist part of Starlight, but we still, and working with Arsalan was exciting and fun and everything else. Kind of approaching different stakeholders when they do want maximalist, and then we tend to naturally want to go minimalist and super clean and pure because we want the space to kind of almost disappear. So I think sometimes the way that we design is we try to impact as little as possible, but have a big impact, if that makes sense. So I think that we're always trying to kind of restrain ourselves from being too over the top.
You want to create a space that doesn't take away from the food, because ultimately a restaurant is, you're there for the food. But so you almost want to be that quiet presence that is welcoming and doesn't distract you or take center stage.
Take over.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely like a design aesthetic that we possess all the time in our projects, that we're like, wait a second, is there too much? So Barbara and I kind of push back and forth on all the designs and try to figure out what the best vistas are, what the best views are. We're thinking about this stuff constantly in 3-dimensional space, and then saying, wait, this is too much or not enough. But sometimes maximalism can be useful or exciting, but sometimes it overwhelms the senses, and it'll actually change the experience of the guest. So there, if the guest is there for the showboatness of it, they might lose the experience of the food or experience of, I think it just depends on what the customer, the client wants at the end. But we tend to have a soft hand with design.
I do notice that. I do see like we are kind of in this era of like Instagrammable bars. I kind of talk about that often. And the place I work at, the building structure is over 100 years old. The bar's been there for 19 years, but the space has not changed. I have photos from the 1930s. It still has these staircase, these upper mezzanine levels, and nothing's changed. And sometimes I do go into these maximalist restaurants, and I see so many people on their phones taking pictures.
Yeah. It's a different quality of customer too. I think that's the Michelin-star trap that everyone talks about, or Bourdain talked about. Once you get a Michelin-star, the kind of clientele you actually attract is not necessarily the customer that you want for a long-term lease, because they're going to be there 1 or 2 times, take photographs, not really engage with the bartender or the actual staff. They kind of treat the people differently, and then everything is affected after that. So it kind of like breaks down the actual experience of what a good restaurant bistro would be, or a good restaurant bar would be. So even though we design Michelin restaurants, even though we're in the field of doing this, our favorite spaces are the hole in the walls. So I'll be at your bar before I'm at kind of Maximus bar.
Yeah. And that's, what, everybody has preference. And, we do this thing in the bartender world where like the dive bartenders go against the mixologist, and like, they say, oh, that you don't have any skills. And the dive bartenders go, oh, you don't know how to actually bartend because you don't know how to talk to people. But like at the end of the day, we're all in this industry together, and everybody has preference, and you can't please everybody. And, you got to just like have your taste. And does that ever get like, when you're designing for a restaurant, like putting your taste versus what the client wants? And like, can you kind of, Barbara, talk to me about how that conversation goes when you sort of meet with a restaurateur, and like, what's that process like trying to find out, pulling that information out of him or her?
Yeah. So we like to ultimately act as a mind reader. And our job is to create a space that feels like if the client could design something, they would. You know right away when you walk into a space and it doesn't feel authentic to the chef or the concept. And we try to avoid that wholeheartedly. So we interview them as much as possible, ask every single question from the music, where they go on vacation, like try to really understand who they are and you know, who they are as a person and what they really want their concept to be in the end. You know, what kind of clients do they want to have? What's the price point? Is it intimate? Is it you know, something that's more upbeat and fast paced? So we just interview them and ask a ton of questions. I think if you look at all of our projects, you can see a through line, but they all look drastically different. So, and that is part the client and what the client brings to the table, and us infusing our overall aesthetic on what we've gleaned from the client.
I got you. Interesting. Yeah. I think what first brought me to you guys, I've heard about you through when you started Dora Ristorante. And one of my friends, Francesca, she's one of the bartenders there. She's an artist as well. She is, you know, she is a painter and she has her painting business partner on the side and she works in bartending. And we had this conversation like we are all these just like creatives who have this little bartending restaurant thing on the side. And that is like, this is a really interesting way that she put that. And it does feel like that is like restaurants are these sort of like common spaces for so many people, and there's so many people to put their creative touch on them in their own way. And you guys probably have to really have an understanding of restaurants in order to do that stuff. And I mean, just coming from like furniture to restaurant, like those are, you know, like that's totally different.
Yes and no. It's I mean, you're totally right about the kind of democracy of restaurants. It's you can be sitting next to a lawyer or the guy who picks up the trash and same table or two tables across from each other. And everyone's the same. If you treat the staff correctly, if you are kind and polite and you ask please and thank you, you'll get served well. If you don't and you're a jerk, you're not going to get served well. So yeah. It's a space where kind of democracy really does exist, and that's pretty cool. It does feel like it's an equal kind of playing ground for everybody. We've been asked before to do VIP type stuff, and we're like, we're good. We don't really want to be involved in that. It doesn't make sense all the time. I think if there are special like PDRs and areas where people need to have private spaces, that's cool. But I think you're kind of equal when you all go into a restaurant.
Wow.
And that's kind of nice. Obviously there's price points that are kind of inhibitive for some people. We always ask that, but back to kind of what Barbara said, that, you know, we act as a filter for everyone else's ideas. But furniture design and restaurant design are kind of similar.
Okay.
Spatial awareness, understanding how people flow through a space, how someone sits in a chair, what a chair is, what bars are, how bars work, how lighting works. It's all product design, interior design. It's all the same. Architecture.
We're both big lovers of food.
Okay, so that's
and
where it starts.
the experience of going to restaurants. So we do a lot of R&D. So
yeah, I did. I was doing a lot of R&D in some of your restaurants over the past couple of weeks. And some of them I got to the point where I just got to do a quick walkthrough. I was like, I can't, you know, I actually walked through Providence last night,
cool.
the 3-star
cool.
Michelin-star restaurant here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really cool restaurant. When you have that like sea green on the walls and you have that bar. My first attention always goes towards the bar.
Right.
And you guys did an incredible job with that. And I was talking to Sarah, who's the manager, and she was super nice. She showed me around. She's like, oh, I know, you know, Barbara and Jason. And she gave me this like QR code, which had some of the artists that you could see their work. Mm-hmm. And I guess do you guys like manage that whole process, or how did that restaurant go?
Yeah, we did manage the whole process. We actually brought in our friend, really well-known painter down in San Diego, Peter Halaz, to do this like insane. He does these like really beautiful ocean paintings We asked him to do one of the paintings for the space. But for Providence, it was unique because they already had 2 Michelin stars. They asked us to kind of redesign their whole space, and we just went like, what the hell? No way. Like, what if you lose a star? Like, if we do something. And so we talked about it, and we kind of, we were obviously very excited about it, but we just realized we needed to be reductive. We needed to remove things that they had. So they had a lot of design before, and we just wanted to reduce, and remove as much design as possible and just make it very, very simple and minimal.
Yeah, I think especially that project more than most was one where the food is really the focus, and so that went a lot of thought went into that when we were designing that to definitely create it a very intentional, beautiful, non-invasive space.
And they were already a 3 Michelin star. They just didn't have the 3rd star. And that's the way that they operated, what they did, how they served you. Everything about it was 3 stars. Just it wasn't the 3rd star, was the interior and the aspect of it. So I think that what was going on is that it was just a little bit too cluttered. And so we just went in there and just removed everything, removed the tablecloths, made a wood table, which was a challenge to do for fine dining. We changed the flow a little bit. We tried to add a second well to the bar, couldn't get it. It was just a single well bar. So, but we changed what we saw as the missing part. We just paid attention. We asked everyone questions. We started asking the staff questions, what they needed. They had 1 or 2, maybe 1.5 server stations before. Now they have, I believe, 4 or 5. I think it might be 5. But redundancy. So you don't have to go as far to actually serve a guest. So all these invisible hands behind the scenes that make a restaurant actually function, we're paying attention to that stuff. Yeah. So, and the owners don't see it, the servers or the staff don't see it. So someone has to see all of it together. And that's what we do, is just walk in there and start asking the right questions.
It's crazy, like your level of knowledge that you guys have to get to be doing this stuff on a professional level.
We when we go to restaurants, we're looking at other things, not just the food. It's the whole experience. So I would go and watch you at your bar and watch what you're doing to see how I could help. But that's kind of the way our brains work. We've trained ourselves to do that.
Yeah. I do the same thing. It's like hard to turn it off when I go into restaurants. I can't just like chill out and relax. But there is this like kind of what you were just talking about, the functionality versus the aesthetic. So when I look at that bar at Providence, I think if I remember correctly, like there's open end on both sides.
One side.
Oh, it's just one side?
But it appears, it appears both sides.
I got that wrong. Yeah. But the functionality versus aesthetic and just like those little details that people don't realize.
Yeah.
So for a project like, okay, when it comes to pricing out these big projects, somebody in the industry told me that the way you price these, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'd like to hear your opinion, is let's say your new restaurant was projected to do 10 million in the first year. He said you want to spend 5 million on the build out and 28% goes to the designers. Is those numbers?
I wish.
Yeah. So it's
no.
But there's also, it's not just designers. It's designers, the architect, all the trades, all the engineers. So our typical meetings for any project is like weekly. We're meeting with like the AC guy, the electrical guy, like the engineers who are actually structural engineers, the contractor. There might be some stakeholders from the management team, from the ownership team, but we're on these like coordination calls with all these different team members, and it requires a lot of people, health department guys, kitchen planners. A lot of people are on these teams. There's like maybe 10 or 12 individuals who are part of each project. So if you think about all their salaries and everything else, the 28% might be actual like for everybody.
Maybe that's what he was referring to.
But and also like, if you're spending $5 million on your interior, you're doing a showboat place, which is awesome. And we like that. We thrive off those projects. They're really, really fun. But those are also out of reach for 90% of restaurants that are doing stuff.
Yeah, I think the guy that I was talking to, he builds restaurants for airports, and those are like huge deal, huge process. And he's actually more of I don't even know whether he was an architect or what he was talking about, but it is interesting to know some of the business numbers that go back here. And, he was also telling me that like sometimes these designers, they you put so much work and you build this beautiful bar for these owners and these restaurants, and then you just hand it off. And sometimes designers feel like I don't reap some of the benefits. Do you guys ever feel like that? Is like, I don't own some of these great spaces that we've created? And maybe you wish you could?
I think it's always like handing over the keys to your baby. You know, we put so much of ourselves into each project, and then we're just like, here you go.
But do we want to run it? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
running a restaurant's a lot of work. So
Yeah.
Most clients are very respectful and grateful. So we work with great people. So we definitely feel like we're still in the thread for the most part in most of our projects.
Would you ever want to do something where you like go into a business like with a client where maybe you design for profit on the side?
Are you suggesting you want to do something with us?
Oh, I wish. I would love to. I mean, I think like the stuff that you guys do is like so cool. And like, that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you guys today, is because like I've been working the bars for my whole career.
Yeah.
And then I look at like, you know, I was doing the math the other day. I think I've spent like from age 25 to 34, I've spent probably like 16,000 hours in bars and restaurants, and like a lot of that time is in working and engaging with people, but a lot of it's like looking around and thinking. So your brain does go to these things, and like the creative functionality, the aesthetic, how the flow of the restaurant, stuff like that. So I think it's cool what you guys do.
We're doing all that stuff before we design. So we're actually thinking about the flow, the layout, what the customer experience is. Customer experience is like that terminology is in our office constantly, just thinking about like what it takes for someone to actually go into the restaurant and experience it. So there are foodies, but there's also people who've never been to restaurants before, their first time like date or whatever. Those people still have to have an easy experience. It has to be not too intimidating. So we're always thinking about those details. So aesthetics are really, really important, but customer flow and actually what your interaction like is inside the space is important. So, and then also what it's like to work there. So part of Lilo's design is that we want to make a space that the chefs feel like they're out in the garden. So, you know, that kind of idea, but
the mental health.
For them, it's awesome. It's not like you're, you know, a lot of kitchens you're stuck, as you know, in the back. In
no
a little
windows at some of these places. It's tight. I mean, there's some. I used to work in New York City. Those basement kitchens.
People who work in kitchens are like angels. They're absolutely like from heaven, because the abuse they go through is so insane. It's such an intense job, and like to not be able to create a cool space for them is hard. So we try as much as possible to affect that if we can. Depending if the client has the ability to do it or if we can, but we're always thinking about those things.
Well, it's like the concept, I think, is it's like empathetic design. Is like this. I feel like is like a big trend in today's creative world, artistic world, and those.
And I think creating culture is more important than the Instagrammable spot. Instagrammable spots are awesome, but the second you think of the idea, by the time you build it out and actually finish the project, it's already gone on to a new Instagrammable spot. So you see these places that are kind of open up and like, oh, that was really cool a year ago. And now they're stuck with a 10-year or 20-year lease on that place, and nobody wants to go there because it's not the hot thing anymore. So trying to create a space that actually creates culture is a whole different design aesthetic. It's a whole different approach. So John Resnick, obviously in Carlsbad, does a really good job at creating like an entire culture.
Is he a designer or a chef, or
he owns sorry.
No, he's the owner of Lilo, Wildland.
Oh, got you.
Campfire.
I know the chefs.
Jeune
I don't necessarily know the owners. I'm sorry.
No worries. So his industry, he I believe he went to school for this, upstate New York, but he comes from a place of actually creating really great culture. So everyone who works there wants to work there. It's a cool space to start your career and actually like build your career. And everyone kind of gets lifted up inside the organization.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
He's got those are some really nice restaurants. I think it's
really great.
Lilo, it's Jeune, Jolie, Campfire, and Wildlands.
Yeah, that's correct.
I stopped by Carlsbad the other night, and I actually had a martini at Jeune, Jolie. I was really impressed by that. I think like those you guys put those, so you walk in that round bar is awesome, and then I went to the bathroom and I saw all those little booths, and you have the kitchen is like right in
there.
face. I mean, you kind of feel like you're part of the action. That's a cool design.
That was a karate dojo before.
Wow.
It was an old like 1980s building, karate dojo. There was nothing in there, but part of the challenge with that is that we wanted to create a bar that had no back bar. So if you notice there's no back bar there, there's overhead shelving, but the back bar is along the side,
Yep.
which is unconventional for bars. But we just thought of the idea of having a completely open space so you could watch the kitchen do the thing.
Yeah, it's cool. I really like it. I like
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I think we're getting in this time where like you're seeing everything and you're hiding. It's like here it is, here we are, and you know, you got to kind of play to that a little bit on both
Yeah.
sides. I have a question about some of your inspirations, and you were kind of just talking about how you created the concept with Jeune. Like, do you guys pull your creative inspirations from film, music, television, architecture? Like, Barbara, where does that come from?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We both travel a lot, so a lot of comes from traveling and experiences you have in other countries or other cities. You know, pulling in architectural details that you saw on a corner in Milan or Paris and taking a photo and then recalling it and incorporating it into a project at a later time. Fashion, you know, food itself, just it comes from everywhere.
Yeah. It's just that like muscle memory, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's 1,000, maybe 10,000 ideas bouncing around in our heads, and we're kind of looking for the perfect client to actually express that. So,
I mean, sometimes we'll be like, hey, do you remember that uh, uh, issue of Wallpaper from like
Right.
2003 where that image of that whatever was? And you know, like we've been working together for so long, we partly share a brain on some things, and
definitely
you know, we just
aesthetics
have
and-
that
yeah.
like recall of
Just-
inspiration.
yeah. You kind of just build that team rapport. That's cool.
Yeah, and how to filter like our design aesthetic along with the client's vision and marry those things together is very difficult to do, but and also not like express ourselves too hard to where it feels like it's our design rather than theirs. So
Yeah.
if you talk to our clients after the project is done, they're like, how the hell did you see what's in my head? And that's part magic, it's part paying attention, listening, but also like kind of just elevating them. We've had the conversations with the clients before where they're like, this is too nice.
Oh.
And I'm like, it is. You're wearing a new suit. It's a little bit too snug for you. Your shoes a little bit too big, but you'll fill into it. And when they actually start walking the space, doing service there, their personality changes. They grow. They move into the space, and that becomes them. So it's this kind of interesting dance. So Providence, they were like, whoa, like this is almost too much. But then it wasn't too much. It was exactly what they needed it to be, you know. And talking to the staff after we completed the project, it's the exact same place as it was before, but now the walls are art. Do not touch them. Right.
Literally.
And it's this weird thing where it's like, now that you can't touch the walls, now that you understand that the space that you're in is actually part of the movie set. It's part of the character. You treat it with reverence and your behavior changes. So it's a very subtle thing that occurs. And then when that happens, then the customer feels it, the Michelin-star person feels it, everyone feels it. Right. So it's just this weird little transference of knowledge. So it's interesting how it works, but you're just kind of taking these ideas in your head and expressing them to the clients.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That creative
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
having the understanding to do that.
Yeah. And I think Bourbon and Branch in San Francisco kind of did this. They said to guests, to male guests, you can't go approach women on your own. You have to actually ask a bartender to buy them a drink. So changing that behavior in people is a smart thing to do, because then you don't get a bunch of yahoos in there hitting on women, which don't make them want to come. Right. So this is an interesting concept of behavioral control with like customers and stuff, and with yourself as well. So,
Wow. That's interesting
yeah.
that restaurant did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's creativity on another level.
Well, it's interesting because I think you have the opportunity as a bartender, as someone in the service industry, to change how people experience what they do. So I think with some restaurants, maximalism is the way that you change your behavior and make them see something, because it's like, it's so fancy that you're like, whoa, this is crazy, I have to take a picture.
Yeah.
And other places, it's the way that you talk to your customer and how you approach them, and what you do when they're at your seat, at your table.
Yeah.
But-
It's funny. We should implement that. I work right outside the Gaslamp district, and it's like, oh man, it can get rowdy some of those times. Let me tell you, after those Padres games, and
Yeah.
people are coming back from those clubs.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's like I'm less of a my job is less about making the drink and more about like managing people, managing who comes through the door and the relationships and stuff like
Right.
that. So like, just like the thought of that, like saying, hey, I wonder how they like implement that or how they like keep that code, you know.
Right. Yeah. And design is a part of that. Design is kind of behavioral control in some ways. If it's designed well, and then you also have like just layers of behavior, how you put the menu down, how you approach people, what you ask them, what they want, all those kind of like touch points, you can actually kind of start directing the behavior of the customer inside the space. Urban and Branch is good at that. I'm not sure how well they're doing now. They were really big a decade ago, but they're still a cool place if you ever get up to San Francisco.
Cool. Yeah, I have a lot of lists. There's a lot of places I'd love to hit. I'm just trying to, balance the time as like I'm kind
Yeah.
of one of these guys who like is working full time, and I'm trying to create this podcast creative platform and turn it into a business. And balance. It's if you want to do it, it takes it's like you got to treat it like a full time job.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's like one step at a time. You try to get my creative process, just keep getting better and better step by step. And I actually I just did my first paid gig. So that was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
So
Yeah.
I've been doing this podcast for probably coming up on like 21 months. And it took me that amount of time to like work with a brand and say, hey, we're willing to invest some money in you to do some social media work with us. So
Awesome.
it's kind of cool. I used to do social media work for bars back in New York City, just a little Instagram stuff, but this was kind of like a separate little like one-off gig. So, it just takes
Congrats.
time.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's risk and time
It does
spent.
take time.
Oh man. All right. So what is going on with you guys right now? Like, are there any new cool projects you guys are working on or anything you want to talk about or?
There's a lot of wellness
Okay.
spaces on the horizon.
Very nice. Yeah. I could use some of that, but what do you guys got going on?
Couple restaurants, couple wellness spaces.
The really big project that's happening that's on the horizon for San Diego is a project called the Admiral.
Oh.
And it's in Point Loma. It's very close to where I grew up in Point Loma. It's along Rosecrans. It's inside Liberty Station. It's the last acreage available in that lot of Liberty Station. And it's 5 buildings, 5 acres. And the owner of Mr. A's, Ryan Thornton, who is a recent owner of Mr. A's, took it over. And he's got a big project that's happening there. So we're doing all 5 spaces, influencing how the grounds work. And it's pretty cool. It's going to be amazing.
Very cool.
It's
Yeah.
a wedding venue with a small hotel, a restaurant, a bakery, wine bar.
Coffee shop,
And so
secret bar.
how long will
all the
that
good stuff.
process take from like start of conversations to doors open for you guys?
So I think we were formally engaged the beginning of 2025. I think we kicked off. It took about a year of design, and doing all the plans and coordination. And then now we're close to getting our plan check comments. Construction might break ground, I think June or July.
Okay.
And the contractor's saying it's going to be about a year. These projects that are that large around that could be a little bit longer, but it'll be done in phases. It's all historic, so it's going to be like 1921, I believe, is when the project was completed, all the way through the 80s concepts. So we have lots of different concepts in each property. But it's a big staff, it's a big operation. So for Ryan, actually like juggling 5 spaces all at once, plus Mr. A's is it's really exciting.
Yeah. And I
So-
was just thinking for you guys, like, so that can't be the only project you guys are working on. You guys are juggling projects too, right?
Yeah.
Is
A
that-
lot.
So like you guys are in LA, you got this project in San Diego. Are you guys bouncing back and forth?
Yeah, we go down there pretty often.
So I'd imagine you got to be kind of on the ground for those kind of
Yeah,
things,
we
you
have-
know?
At any given time in the office, we have between 10 and 15 projects a year. So and each one is like pretty big. So we have a jazz bar in Vista that we're doing 3 floors, private membership club, cigar lounge, plus a giant jazz club. It's a existing building. It's gonna slated to cost around 22 million. It's a big project, all custom built, absolutely insane. but there's a lot. And like Barbara said, we have lots of wellness spaces,
Yeah.
lots of multi-unit residential, big apartment complexes. So we do a lot of juggling.
Well, that's got to take a toll on your guys' mental health and wellness too. Try to juggle all those spaces. I mean, that's got to be like, I think my friend Relitza Kombaka, she's a architect down in San Diego she has her own business, Studio Ralu.
Yeah.
And she's a friend of mine. They just started the Kiku Room, which is
Yeah.
this new club, right? It's actually the original Casbah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
And she was telling me, like, she was showing me some of the plans. It's like, she's like, it's 10,000 decisions that go into these things.
Probably
I
a
think it's
million.
more.
Oh, more than that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Millions. Yeah. It's crazy. The amount of work that goes into these things, it's endless. So it's constant. One, it's putting out little fires, but also making hundreds of thousands of decisions on each project. It's really wild. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten really, really good at it. I think our brains are always in design mode. So when you see people, you're like, wait, I forget how to talk because you're just in design mode all the time. So, it's this very interesting mind to live in the aesthetic world and constantly be making decisions, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I feel that. I feel that as
Yeah.
a bartender too. My
Yeah.
brain is constantly in bartending mode. Like,
Yeah.
like I have to turn on and turn off when I go to work.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
Like, yeah. Sometimes it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's part of it. You have to find balance. You have to find something to do. You have to find your passion. You got to find your walking or your exercise, whatever you do, but you have to like keep mentally fit to do it. So
have that outlet. You know?
yeah. And also to be a creative is like, you have to be creative on demand. You're being creative with someone's money and also being creative for a living. So it's a very strange thing to take your creativity, the painters, the sculptors, into an actual, like, the client is paying us to be creative for them. And so we don't have to come up with one idea. We're coming up with dozens of ideas for them, different bar configurations, different bar shapes, different styles. And then they're deciding on one, and then we're like running with it and going with that. So Dora has, 4 or 5 iterations of what Dora could be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they all do. And this
Yeah.
is, we've designed, multiple restaurants for each restaurant. And that's what's kind of funny,
And
like
then
how
do
it
you
works.
sit down with like the owner and say like, it's like, that's the dialogue. How do you feel about this? What do you like the little parts?
Yeah, we kind of start with a schematic design package, which, depending on the size of the project, sometimes we'll present, for like the larger, more corporate, multi-unit projects, there's so many people in the room, you don't have a direct client to kind of do that brain
Yeah.
mind reading part of it. So you have to put together a couple different options of the directions that you can go. And so they'll pick one, and then we'll do the schematic design and develop that. And in that phase, then that's where the client has a little more directions. Like, do you want a bar like this, or are you more drawn towards this layout or things like that? So
Dora is interesting because when you walk into Dora, it's almost like that tight little narrow space that you guys had to put that bar there. And then you have the back is with the booths and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think like, what if we put the bar in the back facing out and then had those booths? Yeah.
Yeah, we thought about every configuration. I think that
Yeah.
we had, I don't know how many floor plans we had for that space. How many floor plans did we have for that space, Barbara? Do you remember?
it's a difficult space.
It is. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because the kitchen needed to be a certain size, and it needed to be where it was for how the building, like there was something where like the shaft for the hood needed to be located where it needed to.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So we're a little bit limited. Also the client, I believe the client didn't want to have the bar, because that was our suggestion, to have it more on that mural wall.
Yeah.
But they preferred it in the center to have some relationship to the open kitchen.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's reactionary sometimes when you design, because you actually have to think about utilities and where plumbing is going, where bathrooms are going, kind of where things exist already. And so when you start looking at floor plans, you're thinking about a lot of other systems that are in place. So you kind of have to, you're a little bit dictated, but sometimes the flow of a space, you can kind of feel like where it should go and shouldn't go. But we always have to juggle those things when we're designing. So yeah, I believe Dora had maybe 5 to 10 different floor plans of where it could have gone.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, you
yeah.
crush it. It's awesome. Like I
Yeah.
love that spot. I love the way it looks. I mean, I think that's a cool restaurant, like on all aspects. If I'm being like from the customer's perspective, the way you guys built that, the look, the food is incredible. The service, like my friend Francesca's behind the bar. She's a rock star chef, Curcio Loda. He's like a
Yeah.
super awesome chef and guy. I've never actually met him, but from what I hear,
One of the best. I
Yeah.
mean, him and Corinne were their dream clients. They're the kindest, most just absolutely lovely.
down to earth, like real people. You know, sometimes I meet people in this industry. I'm like, that guy sucks. You know, so,
Yeah.
but no,
It
there are
definitely
really,
happens. Yeah.
try to fade those people out.
Yeah.
So with all the like the, you know, you guys are running your business here, Bells and Whistles. Does running the business end sometimes take away from you as like designers and creators ever? Is it hard to juggle both of those things?
Well, talk about switching your brain. It's definitely I have my admin days and then it's just like boop, now I got to be creative and it's also like I mentioned earlier, our projects are so aesthetically different that you have to get into one mindset for one vibe and then you're like, okay, now I'm switching half the day to get into this, something that's maybe like a maximalist, like when we were working on Dora, and then going to something that's maybe more minimalist and completely different ends of the spectrum. So
Yeah.
We forget to lift our heads up and look around. We're so in our computers and so in our heads planning things that we forget that we have friends. We forget that we have, restaurants that we've done. It's bizarre to say, but it's like if you're bartending, you're just like stuck in your, like, not even stuck,
Tickets,
but
just
like,
stuck in the tickets.
yeah. And you're also just excited about doing what you're doing. You're just like in your flow state. And then we look up and like, oh, damn, it's already been, 25 years of doing this, which is completely insane. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's important to remember that, this is for people. It's for their daily life. I mean, the amount of people that work at the restaurants that we've done is awesome. People have gotten engaged at those restaurants. People have gone on to start their own careers at those restaurants. There's like culture at those restaurants. It's just really fun to see for us. So
Yeah, it is important to kind of look back. I'm the same way with my episodes. It's like I'm
yeah.
just like, you get one. I was on the train up last night. I'm working on some of the next project. I'm trying to balance everything. It is tough, but I feel like it's good to constantly remind ourselves, like, look at what we're doing and stay grounded in those things. And when I was talking with Relitza the other day, she was saying that like sometimes it takes like 10 years to sort of like establish yourself. Do you guys have like just to feel like you fit in and you've arrived. Do you guys ever feel like, is there a long-term goal for you guys? Are you going to keep chugging away at these projects? Like, is there a moment where you're like, we hit it, we've done all the restaurants? Like, what's that like for you guys?
I think we don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's really the only thing that we know how to do, to be honest with you. Right? It's very similar to like a chef who's been working at his restaurant for decades, and like he's good at that one thing. Like, could he get a job somewhere else? Probably not. He's a chef of that restaurant. We're definitely the chefs of Bells and Whistles. Doing something else wouldn't really make sense. But no, I think that we're still competing for projects. We're still working to get those projects. We don't get them just because we've been doing it for a while. We love that we are, we've never marketed, we never pushed ourselves, we never advertised, we've never done anything. I mean, we get awards and we get recognized and we get beautiful accolades and stuff, but we don't go and try to do it. And we're kind of, our name is passed from chef to chef, and it's kind of in the industry. So if you do need, a designer to actually help you envision what you can't envision, and then also to kind of help make that stuff come true, that's people call us and say, hey, I heard from this guy that your guys are good. And that's kind of amazing. We didn't plan that. It just happened. And that's like this organic, natural thing that occurs. And so people do call us and say, hey, can you guys help me with this restaurant? And we're like, how'd you get our number? Oh, I got it from this chef, or I got it from that industry person. So that aspect of it is really cool. So success in some ways, that's freaking awesome that happens. That's really cool. But that wasn't like we want to get to that point. It just kind of naturally happened.
Yeah.
So, which is really neat.
Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, as like as working in the creative world, like I don't know, sometimes the end's goal, like well, you guys have your own business, so you've, I guess like
Yeah.
that's, that's kind of one of the goals. But in terms of the awards, I've seen, I did read some of your awards. Like I think there was a couple recently that you just got. Can you talk about that maybe?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the Forbes? It's pretty
Yeah, we
cool.
were just listed on Forbes magazine 100 top architects and designers in the US.
Which
Wow,
is insane. I
that's
mean, that
crazy.
list is like they're the biggest firms that you can imagine. Some, all the big ones that we look at, and we're like, wait, what? What? Why are we being considered? We were kind of shocked by that. I think the when they reached out to us, we're like, is this real? Is this? But it
Like
was completely
Forbes,
insane.
Forbes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's awesome. I mean,
So
it
yeah,
shows like when you go around San Diego, at least like
yeah,
you can tell like your restaurants are elevated products,
yeah.
and so congratulations. Like I think that's awesome.
We're
And
super focused on what we do. That's as you know, like starting your podcast and stuff, you have to be super focused. You're just like completely in it. And I'm not saying we're always have our heads buried in the computer. We're just very focused.
yeah,
So to be creatives and then become focused creatives for clients has been a really fun journey.
yeah. Well, I went to, you guys did Animae. I have a friend who used to work with some of the people there. We went there the other night. That painting on the bar is probably one of the coolest paintings in the restaurants in San
Yeah.
Diego. I thought. Was there a story behind that, or an artist, or?
Yeah, there is a story. The guys are from Berlin. These two really cool creatives. When they first kind of approached us about anime, they had some vision of kind of what they wanted. It was a little bit different from where we landed, but the whole restaurant design is kind of based around a Japanese forest, which is totally fascinating. So you don't really catch that when you're in the design, but if you look at it from a three-dimensional space, and also from a 2D CAD place, there's like a river running through it. We have carpet, we have travertine floors. We've got all these like details that are it's like Japanese forest. And then the idea of doing an animated kind of end of world, end of empire floating robot in the ocean with giant koi fish. It came up. I mean, there was different artists I was looking at, but I found these guys in Berlin who collaborate and they do these really big murals. And I asked them, would you guys be interested in doing a light box for this space? And they're like, what? Where is this coming from? So they were really excited, got them to print it out in this special fabric that glows. The original idea when we pitched it to Chris and Brian is that they were going to potentially change the art out every season. So do
Oh,
different animated scenes, and it just kind of stuck with that. So,
I think
but
it
it's fun.
crushes. It
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
plays.
yeah,
I'm like, what is it? What is going on here?
yeah,
This massive robot, these giant fish, who are these little people in the little
yeah.
floating boxes and things like
Hmm.
that. So it definitely makes you think. It makes you
Yeah,
sit there and think,
it's
which
kind
I
of
think
fun.
is cool. But
Yeah.
do you guys have any projects that have stood out to you, which were some of your favorites to build and things like that? Or what do you think, Barbara?
Someone just asked me this the other day, and it's kind of like a mother loves all of her children equally.
Yeah, our
um,
clients would hate if we said that we liked one of
to
our
a
projects.
point, I mean, I go into one place, I'm like, oh, I love this one. And then you go into another one, you're like, oh, this one's really good, actually. So you maybe you think you have a favorite, and then it's just because you haven't gone and seen the old one in a while.
Yeah, and
So
of course Starlite always slaps. I mean, it's like the
yeah.
best of the best. I mean, that design was absolutely insane. When Arslan called me and he said, "Hey, I might be getting Starlite, but I don't want to I don't want to change it. I want you guys to come back and do it." And I think he was nervous about, putting the CH stamp on it and changing it too much. And we we said, absolutely no problem. What's the budget? And he said, don't worry about that and
Oh, wow.
have at it. So just do what you would have naturally done if you had actually had the budget from the beginning. So that space was like me and Barbara's brain were just like, okay, how do we recreate this cave system that we saw in New Mexico, the Carlsbad Caverns? How do we create these kind of movie sets that we've seen in, Alfred Hitchcock? How do we take what's in my brain from Star Wars? Absolutely. How do we take Frank Lloyd Wright? How do we take John Lautner? How do we put all of this into one space and make it make sense with
Yeah.
Italo-futurism and all these kind of details?
It was also interesting to revisit a space that you did 20 years ago when it was our first project, so like how we've grown as designers and the things that we've learned and, you know, sitting and revisiting the ideas that we had back then that we couldn't do. It was just really fun. It was terrifying too, because it's like we built Starlite and now we're gonna redo it. And what if we fuck it up? And because it's such an icon, and I think we ended up doing all right. But
absolutely.
but it was definitely fun and interesting, and we're really happy with how it came out.
I think the Star Wars comparison is spot on. I mean, you have like the lights and everything, that center bar piece with the round, and then you go in the back. It's almost like I don't know which Star Wars episode that was, but it's like the grass and it's like earthy and it's like it kind of plays the duality of that place. Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of cultural references in all of our projects, from movies and everything else. It happens constantly. It's an impossible thing to have a designer not be influenced by the great architects and also movies and culture in general. So, and when people do it correctly, it's like, it's cool. It's just a subtle nod and someone's like, why does this feel familiar? But then it does. And
and just like you can feel like the wall, like I don't know which, it's like the walls like angle in and you can, it's like legit brick and it's just like, it's very different. So it's very very noticeable.
And if someone's picking that stuff up, that's the intent, right? It's just like you kind of feel somewhere like this seems familiar, but I don't know where it's from. And that's our intent, is to kind of get inside your brain.
Is there like a dream project you guys have that's like sitting somewhere where you're like, I'd love to touch that, or I'd love to do this concept or something like that?
We got an email. Do you want to talk about the email from Amman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, Amman Resorts reached out to us, and I don't know if you know who they are, but they have an absolutely stunning property in, I believe it's
Amman-Gary and
I think it's
Arizona.
I thought Amman-Gary was Idaho, but it's in one of the plain states.
Okay.
Big open state. Or it might be Utah. But it's an absolutely insanely gorgeous. Like if you took Lilo and just built Lilo into an entire resort, like
in the middle of
every space,
like the mount, like just like you just look out and it's just nature. You don't see other buildings.
I can see that.
They're like
insane.
a 5-star resort. Absolutely breathtaking properties all over the world. And for them to even
know who we are.
Yeah, just to reach out to us was insane. We were like, wait a second, this cannot be possible that they're talking to us. So we submitted our proposal or submitted our resume and kind of showed them what we do. And we have no idea if we'll hear from them again. But just the idea of talking to them was like, this is kind of cool. So felt good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for us, at least I know for me, and I think for us too, Providence was one of those that I had eaten there several years before they called us, and I just sat in there. I was like, oh wow, would love to redo this space. And when they called, I think Jason and I were out for a meeting, and they called, and our one of our employees was like, oh, Donato from Providence called, and I was like Providence. She's like, yeah, what is that? I'm like, oh my God. So we called right away and met with them. And obviously, you know what happened after that. But that was a big one for me.
Yeah. And honestly, like working with really talented teams, working with really, really talented chefs is like, that's the reward right there. When you meet people who are like so good at their craft, you're just completely blown away. It's like, it's an insane feeling. It's like they're very, very good people with what they do, and they're so highly focused. So to be able to work with people like that is like, it's a dream come true.
I like that too. And that's part of the reasons why I like to reach out to people like you guys, is because it is interesting to have relationships professionally, personally, and see people who are like working as hard as they can at elevating themselves in their crafts, whether that's artistically in business and sports or whatever, fields you're in. It's like, cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like, I've actually never worked back a house, but to have a little bit of an, as a bartender, like seeing these guys who are putting in decades worth of work, it's like admirable. And it's like I've gained a level of respect as the years have gone on.
Yeah.
When you see what really goes into these things, and now with the design too, it's the same way. It's like I think it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, when you learn, because when I first started out, I didn't know anything about restaurants or how the design process went. But
my first job as a young kid, 15 years old, I was washing dishes in a restaurant, and I did it for many years, and I enjoyed it. I liked washing dishes. I was in the pit, just like scrubbing dishes.
Still love to do dishes.
Yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's actually really cool. You turn your brain off and just like do your job, and there's something really satisfying about like that aspect of it. So back of house is really cool. I think it's kind of forgotten about, or you know, when you're tipping your server, you're not just tipping your server, you're tipping the back of house as well. And you're kind of thinking about these guys who are like in this little pit of hell in the back, just being covered in water and old food.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a totally different lifestyle.
Yeah, but it's amazing. I think in the States, a lot of people don't think service or restaurant industry is going to be like a career. It's kind of like something you do before you get a job, a real job, but it's not true. It actually is a real job. It's a real career. I think that behavior is changing, or the perception of it's changing. But most countries, if you go to Europe or Mexico or South America, you'll notice that people, once they get a restaurant job, it's like that's a great place to land. It's an amazing place to land. So I do feel like it's a really cool career path.
It's hopefully changing. I'm starting to bring on more chefs on here. I had on Chef Drew Deckman, Chef Claudia Sandoval, and Chef Roberto Alcocer Valle, which was huge. And he said the same thing. It's like in Mexico, this is a whole profession and career. And the United States is slowly catching on to that. And I am trying to talk to more people in the back of house, because it's a totally different mindset. I'm the bartender. I'm the star tender. I'm on stage. Like, I get the love and the tips and stuff, but there's so much that goes on in the back that we don't really get to see that often. And it is really cool.
It's everything. Yeah. It's the guy who's actually doing all the julienne like cuts, the prep chef. I was a prep chef for a little bit. But it's all the people behind the scenes doing all the work that the chef can actually like kind of do their service, or servers can do their service. But there's a lot of work that goes into this stuff, as you know. So it's fun to be a part of like the actual, you know, creation of these things, but to actually run them, make them happen, it's like this entire team that makes it happen. It's always fun to go in there, introduce yourself, say, hey, we did design this place, and like, this is cool, I live here. But you know, the amount of work it takes to run them is commendable.
It's humbling when you learn all these things that go into it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any advice for like up and coming designers or creatives who are maybe like they're in high school, or they're you know, in the early 20s? Like, what would you tell in today's world to give advice to have like a successful career?
Like we were talking about earlier, just say yes and figure it out.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, just watch. Go somewhere and watch. If you want to be a restaurant designer, if you want to design whatever you want to design, go watch how it's done. Just go into a restaurant and look at the systems that exist. So besides there being actual, you know, the aesthetics of it, there's systems that are working, both how they greet you at the front, where you go after that, where you go sit down, how you use the restroom, how people run food. Just watch the whole system and try to understand it. And even restaurant designers, I think there are a lot of restaurant designers who don't watch. I would say just go watch how it works, and then ask questions of the bartender, ask questions of the owners, the chefs, everything.
Yeah, I've learned so much about bartending from being a customer. It's crazy. Like just the little things you see from the other side, you know?
Yeah, and how they don't work. I mean, we come across a lot of bars that don't work, right? So and that's one of those things that, you know, the placement of things and how they are designed, that's not our specialty. We pay attention to a lot of things. We ask a lot of questions, but you know, we have to rely on a lot of people to make things work. But I think being curious about things and just kind of understanding how they work, aesthetics are really, really important. But if it doesn't function, your place will be closed in a year. It doesn't make sense. And we can go to restaurants and see that happen, you know, or places, I'm sure you can too, at bars that it looks pretty, but then it doesn't function. You're like, this isn't ever going to work. So
there's tells you can see, you go, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad. But yeah, no, what you just said, the curiosity, I think is like any creative, it's like, why does that happen? What is this? How do I do that? Like, and that's like how I've started this platform, is like, I just reach out to other creatives. Yeah.
And aesthetics are like the skin of the body. They look good, but they're not the body. The body is the restaurant. The body is the system. The body is the owner and the chef. the operators, back of house
Foundation,
foundation. It's
yeah.
everything else, and it's the whole system that does it. But and the specs are extremely important. Otherwise, it's not going to function. But there is a lot of systems that have to happen. So it's hard to get started in it without knowing these things. We learned along the way, but we were always curious about what the next question was.
Yeah, I think to a lot of students or aspiring designers have said to me, you know, how do I haven't done any actual projects. Like, how do I have a portfolio and show things? And I think especially now, so more than before, you know, tools like Pinterest and creating a vibe and, you know, adding things that like curating things. It's all about someone understanding that you have the eye and that you can do things and you can put things together. And now with AI, you can really like
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
create
crazy.
interiors and your ideas instantly. So that's one thing I would say about building a portfolio.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools. There's so many tools with AI. Do you think that with the future of AI, it's going to change design and everything? I mean, make it worse, make it better? Like,
I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be a good tool for good designers, and I think it's going to be a bad tool for people who think they're designers.
makes sense. No, yeah,
Yeah,
You
and
know,
makes sense.
it's. I mean, you can look at things, and half of Pinterest now is AI generated, and you can see it. You know, it's lacking soul. It's lacking the human touch, and I think people are going to it's people are not going to accept that as you know, maybe as a 2D image on Pinterest, but if you actually saw an interior that was fully created that way, you're going to know, you're going to feel it.
yeah, the jury's still out.
Yeah.
I still think that we don't know what it is and how it's going to help us, but I do sense that people are going to be craving to go to bars and actually interact with bartenders and talk to servers more than they're going to be saying, I can live with this AI thing all the time and have it kind of solve all my problems and have the easy button. I just think it's not what people are going to choose. I think we're probably going to choose, I prefer, and this is how I travel. I find a bar. I go to that bar every single night when I'm in that town,
Yeah.
and I start talking to the bartender and I find out where they go, ask them 3 places, go to the next bar, find that bartender, what 3 places you go to, you know?
Yeah,
So like, I
yeah.
feel like if you want to be connected to the world, find a bartender, like
Yeah.
go to a bar, find a bartender, talk to them, ask them where they go. And you can find a scene quickly, and no map app or, you know,
Yelp reviews.
yeah, it's not going to work.
Nothing, not
No,
anymore.
no. So you really have to be on the ground and actually talk to people. That's part of it. So I think that these tools will, like Barbara said, they will help and they will push, but they're not gonna transform people's experiences.
Yeah.
So we don't need more maximalist places. I think we need more interaction, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's what's great about Stout is literally I just talk to people all
Yeah.
day, and you can kind of tell. You know, some I don't know. You want to give that authentic, you know, personal touch to people. Do you guys have any favorite bars that you go to up here? Do you have a local that's maybe you want to give a shout out or?
Well, we have a bar across the street from us, which is kind of similar to your bar,
Okay.
called O'Brien's.
Okay.
That's the soccer watching place that we go to. Not for aesthetics, although it is cute.
Yeah. But Irish pubs have their.
It's an Irish pub.
Yeah.
It's
I might be stopping in there for lunch after this
Yeah.
episode. So
oh, you should. It's great.
Yeah, when I first moved to LA, I didn't know a lot of people. I had some friends, but West Side and East Side don't really interact. So I was on the East Side. I started going to a place called Cafe Stella. It's been there forever. Befriended the bartender. Now she's a great friend. Known her for 10 years now, and she's absolutely incredible, like kind of connection to the rest of Los Angeles. She kind of knew everybody in town and kind of kept me under her wing. So she's just like, this is who you need to know, everything else. And then there's a new bar that just opened up called Bar Seco, guys from Mexico City. and
Nice.
it slaps. It's insane. Like at night, it's just like packed full of people on the street, and it feels like you're in Italy or France. I mean, it doesn't feel like LA at all. So, that's just a wine bar, but it's still like fun just to watch the interaction happen. So, a lot of young people are actually literally just like abandoning like Instagram. They're abandoning.
Is that
They are, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, I would love that.
Dude, it's
Sometimes I don't
insane.
know if I
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Though,
No,
you know?
people are starting to do this kind of like behavior where they only have like 8 pictures up and they're like, I'm not going to like oversaturate. I'm not going to like try to make an entire world anymore. And they're actually just, it's crazy to sound, but they're like picking up cigarette smoking and like, and drinking from bottles of wine on the street. And you're like, what the hell is going on? This feels like it's the 80s or the 90s or something. But I think people are abandoning like, the conception that you can live the world, your life through Insta.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think it's happening. I really do.
Good.
I have optimism because when I watch it, I'm like, this is insane. No one's on their phones. They're actually chain smoking.
Wow.
People in their 20s chain smoking, drinking from bottles of wine. I'm like, what reality is this? But it's happening.
But like it's interesting you said that. You show up to a bar, and the way you do that is like if you go to a bar and say, "Hey, my name's Taylor. I'm new to town. Like I'm trying to find some good spots." A decent bartender will engage.
Yeah.
And like that's what we're here for. And
Yeah.
it's like I know like sometimes it's people feel awkward doing that, but it's okay for people to come in and be like, "Hey, I'm a little awkward of a person. I'm new. Like I don't really know my surroundings. Pick your time. If you're doing it at happy hour when the guy's running around the bar, it's terrible.
Sure.
But like, that is what we're there for, is for these like these local establishments to give advice to tourists.
Yeah.
And like that's how you build your regulars.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do. And
Yeah.
it's okay to ask. That's how when I took a trip down to San Diego when I was living in Jersey, and I tried the best sports bars in San Diego, and it took me to Mission Beach. It was called the Sandbar.
Yep.
And I said, "Hey, my name's Taylor. I'm looking to move here, and like this is how long this is me, what I've done in the industry." And she was super nice, and she said, "This is the time of the year when you want to start applying. This is the areas you want to go,
Awesome.
Gaslamp and all these areas. And here you go." And I threw her $20, and I said, "I appreciate you." And then I would see that girl around town once I moved here, and it was kind of like, "Oh, hey, you were the person who did that." And that's how those like little connections and memories start.
Yeah, 100%. I think finding bars that you can actually do that with the bartenders is awesome. When it feels like hella corporate or it's too much, then you don't feel like you can do that. And there's probably a dozen bars that that you can't really go do that with bartenders. It doesn't really feel like that. So we always prefer, and I know I prefer, and you do too, just literally meeting the people who are operating these places, because they're the keys of the city. Like you are a key to your city. You are. Wherever, if we went down to San Diego, didn't know anything, we actually interact with you, you could probably point us in 10 different directions of places to go. So that's it. There's not an app for this. You actually have to do this thing. Someone can make an app for it, but it doesn't make sense. I mean, you have to go talk to bartenders. You have to talk to people on the streets who are actually doing stuff.
A little bit of vulnerability is okay. That's why we're here. Have a drink.
This works in any city. We did this in Paris, and we met some of the coolest bartenders in the city just by doing this. It's like it works in every city on the planet. So you can literally just kind of open up the whole world if you just go and talk to people.
Barbara, do you have a drink that do you have a go-to drink every time, or does it change up?
I'm usually a spritz or Negroni or any kind of bitter, like any version of that.
Yeah, me too. Negroni's always a go-to. I don't really drink martinis.
Sbagliato or I can't drink so much anymore. So for some reason, those tend to be like gin based, or that's kind of the only thing I can handle anymore.
Yeah, I like Negronis. Very simple. Jason, what about you?
I'm gonna go against your thing, but I love gin martinis. Definitely my vibe. Yeah. Okay. So I think we were at a bar in Paris. I'm forgetting the name of the bar. Bar Nouveau, super small. I think Remy is the guy's name who owns it. He owns like 4 or 5 bars, but they make a gin martini with it's got this umami flavor. It has saline and also a little hint of vanilla, which is very strange to put in a gin martini, but it absolutely is insane. But just normally like non-dirty, straight up gin martini with a twist and 2 olives is my jam. So
twist into olives.
Yeah. So and no saline at all, just pure gin, cold. it's definitely like a vibe. So not vegetal, like very clean, London dry gin. But anywhere on the planet I could do that and like kind of be happy. But
Nice.
but believe it or not, I'm totally sober now. So I'm not drinking, which is
Oh.
great. So it's been quite a fun ride. So getting back into health and working out and everything
Balance,
else.
yeah, it's about
It's
balance.
good. It is balance, yeah. So
I can only
but-
imagine the stress that you guys deal with.
that's a lot of
with all
work.
these projects, you know.
I mean, the office is pretty clean, so it doesn't show up. But yeah,
No, it's a very nice office.
very simple white box.
Well, guys, we've been going for about an hour and 15.
Yeah.
I do really I'm loving hearing from you guys. I really appreciate you guys sitting down with me. Is there anything else that you want to sort of touch on, or things for the future, or things you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is like get into design. If you're a bartender and you can design a better bar, do it. If you're a restaurateur and you know that you can do a better restaurant, do it. If you want to, get into coffee shop design because you love coffee shops, just do it. I think that the threshold of actually doing something it seems difficult to do, but just start asking questions and do it. I think that the world needs more excited, dedicated people doing their craft. And I think that like, it's fun to watch people open restaurants. It's fun to be part of that. Coffee shops, everything. It's just, it's cool to do. And I think people should just do it. I really kind of hope that your podcast reaches to people and excites them, gets them excited about doing their own place or being a part of that, the teams that do it. So yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. I wish you guys nothing but the luck on your future projects. I'm going to continue going around and taking photos and meeting the people in the spaces you've built. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you again to Barbara Rourke and Jason St. John for joining me on Wellness on the Rocks. If you'd like to learn more about Bells and Whistles and explore some of their work, you can visit their website at www.bw.design. Follow them on Instagram at Bells and Whistles Design. You can connect with Barbara on Instagram at The Elegant Cast and Jason at Jason Whistles. I've included a longer list of many of the restaurants, wellness spaces, and hospitality concepts they've helped bring to life throughout Southern California in the episode description. If you'd like to check them out, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please let us know. Share it with a friend. Leave a review. Send us your feedback. If you'd like to follow along with the podcast, you can find me on Instagram at wellness_on the rocks. Thank you.